Hello and welcome to my next video looking at the planets and the planetary correlations within astrology. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you can be notified of when I do an upload. I also offer now very in-depth natal chart reports. So if you would like to book me for one, you can go ahead and do so and purchase a reading from me. Please go to my website and click on the links. The website is linked here, and I do offer 25-minute readings and 45-minute readings. So it is a recorded voice recording, just like you're listening now. And I go through all of the planets, all of the parts of your chart, all of the houses. I explain everything. And I also give you the opportunity to give me 3 questions of where you would like me to focus on your chart as well. So please go ahead and book that. I do have some spots left for May. And thank you so much to everyone who has been booking me and referring me to your friends. It's been really, really amazing. So please reach out to me and do that if you haven't done so already. Today, I am sharing my favorite planet. This is a big one for me personally. I am an artist, and I'm actually going to be working on a series of paintings all about Venus. The title of the show that I'm working on is called Venus. So it will be a series of very beautiful paintings of like mermaids and rainbows and crystals and butterflies and all of that beautiful, good stuff. I'm looking forward to getting into it later on next year when I can do so. But for this series, I'm explaining the power of the planet and how it affects your chart, how it expands or contracts within your astrological chart. So all of the planets have a purpose within your astrological DNA, okay? So if you don't know, Venus is a twin planet of Earth. And it was highly, highly probable and possible that at one stage Venus had life, just like we did. Some people call Venus the evil twin of Earth, the sister planet to Earth. It is very, very similar in size and structure on a lot of levels. That is quite fascinating to occultists and fascinating to scientists. It has a very, very similar structure. But Venus is one of the hottest. I think it is the hottest planet in our solar system. And it is hot enough in temperature that it can melt lead. Venus is also very unusual for its retrograde rotation, meaning that it spins in an opposite direction from most other planets. So when we look at the word retrograde, what we're looking at is, in its most simplest context, a planet that is moving in a direction that is against something else within the solar system, okay? So different planets move through different ways, and the way that they rotate and move and flow interacts with everything else. Same as with your astrological birth chart. When you start going down the rabbit hole of astrology, you'll actually find it's actually really complex. And we're dealing with like maths here. We're dealing with angles, degrees, trines, squares, things like that. So everything in your chart, in your birth chart, and everything in everyone else's chart, all affects everything else, okay? So it's really interesting. We also know that Venus is also connected to the morning star, which is, yes, it is the Lucifer morning star, the brightest star in the morning. And we know that it has a lot of very, very powerful, potent purposes that can be like harnessed within the occult world within rituals and ceremonial magic and things of that nature. So when I think of Venus, we always think of like the birth of Venus. We think of Aphrodite, we think of love, we think of beauty and nature and, rabbits and minerals and green grass and kind of like all of this like energy and things that are wholesome and abundant, overflowing, this type of thing. I'm very big on imagery and aesthetics myself. I do have a I do have a Venus in Libra. So, and it's sitting at a very high angle or a high degree. In astrology, depending on the degree that your placement is in, will determine the strength of influence that planet has. So in astrology, we have 00.00 and we go all the way up to 30 degrees. Okay, so when we have a very high placement that could be like 28.2 degrees or anything over 20 degrees, that is a very fixed, what I would call a fixed position within that planet. So it's got a very, very strong influence over you. So as an artist, it would be no surprise that I'm very visual. I'm always getting pictures and collecting photos of flowers and floral arrangements, cracked mud on the ground, everything that has an aesthetic or like a texture, mermaids and fish and scales and, that type of thing. It's always played a very big part in my practice as a mystic. Sometimes I do like to put in a lot of effort when it comes to like creating an altar space for myself. You might be the same. Maybe you're a little bit of a collective witch where you've got pine cones and animal bones and skulls and things of that nature. But as we know, all of these things hold a power. They all hold an aspect of the divine. And what could be more divine than Venus? I think of like honeycomb, the sweetness of honey and milk when I think of Venus as well, and it's so, nature in itself is so unbelievably beautiful. And like the way that you see like those little hexagons that are all made up in the structure of a honeycomb that bees have created. It's the most perfect shape to form something that has structure and strength to it, but yet it's so cleverly done. Nature is very much a balancing force within itself. Animals hunting each other, it give and take, contraction and expansion. In the last video, I spoke about Saturn being about contraction, and there is a lot of expansion, I believe, in Venus, not on the level that Jupiter has, but expansion within love, expansion within integration, to take something in as a part of yourself, which is what real integration actually really is. And so how Venus expresses itself through the planetary aspect of your chart or whatever sign it's in will determine your love language. It will determine how you give love, how you receive love, and it has a very strong presence within like your ability to harmonize relationships. Because we need relationships in this world. The quality of your human existence, whether you like it or not, is actually very much determined by your ability to create relationships with other people. And so Venus in astrology is known as a malefic, a benevolent house, not a malefic house. Malefic houses are more about challenging influences And so Saturn would be more of a malefic house. It means that there's challenges, there's obstacles, there's enemies, problems. When we look at Venus, it's a benefic planet. It's a benefic energy that you're working with. So it's more about harmony and getting along with people, building connections that are beautiful, building connections that can have some level of mutual benefit. So the benefic houses are always considered to be the first house, which is a public house in astrology. It's your outer world. It's how you, it's like your ego. It's how the world sees you, your visual interpretation of yourself. The fifth house, which rules, it sits around the family and the home, and the ninth house. All right. So these are known as tricon houses, and they are believed to be the most auspicious houses within all of the planets. So when you have a lot of benefic houses and benefic signs within your chart, this means that things will come to you with less effort, and a lot of people that know this in astrology know that when you look at a chart and you see a lot of Saturn in someone's chart, you know that that isn't going to be an easy life for that person. When we look at Jupiter and we look at Venus, we know that things have a way of coming around a lot faster at times and a lot more with ease. So it's about ease. And that's really what Venus is. It's a big breath of life force, of Vata. We call it Vata. So it would mean, in order to have life, Venus represents relaxation. It represents peacefulness and harmony. And it represents things coming your way that are beautiful and your relationship with nature. When I think of Venus, I also think of the character Astara of the Dawn, who was a beautiful character that was in the American Gods series. If you know the ending of season 1 and you know that character, she was the embodiment of Easter. And I've always thought with the symbol of Venus, the feminine symbol, the circle with the line underneath it, with a line through the middle of the bottom part of the line, it's like I've always seen that as the Empress card. I think a lot of Venus sits in the Empress, which is in pregnancy and creating a baby, like babies being born in spring. Okay. So it's a harmony planet and it is about money. So Venus deals in the material world. And I think that in itself is connected to Lucifer in the morning star, which is that we need warmth and we need light to have things grow. When we're in darkness, like say the darkness of a darker planet like Uranus or Neptune, that is more of a mysterious energy that we don't really understand because it's in darkness. So things that are in dark, we can't really see them. We can't really understand something that's in darkness. When something is in light, it's illuminated. We can see it clearly in terms of what it is. We know what it is. So Venus is light as well within a chart, and it lights up your chart depending on how it's playing out in what sign. So it all depends on where it sits. So if it sits in Aquarius or if it sits in Aries, how it plays out in your life, and depending what house and degree that sits in, really plays a massive part in your ability to connect with other people in a way that isn't agitated. Okay, so think of moisture and heat. You need moisture and heat for a plant to grow, for it to break through the dirt, for the seedling to sprout, that type of thing. And it also, of course, it deals with money as well. So it's bringing money into your life, bringing abundance into your life. a lot of planetary spells are always based around the planet Venus when it comes to monetary gain, and obviously trying to enhance yourself and your own beauty and your own projection of how others see you. That's all about it. Also, Venus, I have a lot of strong Venus in my chart. Let me know where your Venus sits in your chart. I'd love to see. But it is about art and creativity. Okay, so it's all connected to expression. It's all connected to an aesthetic. So having like a relationship with like how your house looks, how you style your house, that type of thing. It's about the way that something is visually interpreted as well, okay? Now, there is a darker side to Venus, depending on where it is in your chart. The darker aspects of Venus is sometimes Venus can be a little bit too tranquil, a little bit too pleasure-seeking, a little bit too self-indulgent, and sometimes lazy. When we see Taurus playing out in Venus, sometimes people may tend to get in a relationship that they become very, very relaxed in, and they just want to chill out and they want to just enjoy themselves, but they spend too much time in lazing around and grazing like a cow kind of thing. That type of thing can become a problem, so we have to have contraction and expansion. We can't just have, chilling out all the time. We have to work. We have to project things into the future. Other planets do that, but Venus is more of that relaxed kind of, it'll be right, chill out energy, like sitting at the beach and having a joint. That type of thing, it sits in Venus. Pleasure seeking, hedonism, sex. Often I would say, when I think of this planet as well, would be when, just putting it really bluntly, when you have a really, really good fuck and afterwards you are glowing, you feel this rush of energy from someone else merging with you on some kind of physiological, alchemical level for a period of time after the fuck. All of these chemicals have been released because you've been in the natural state of what a human is supposed to be in, which is connection with other humans. So it's like a harmonizing of sorts that happens within the body, okay? And Venus rules a lot of the circular system. It does rule in the kidneys. Venus rules in, also does real like fingernails, eye color, hair texture, that type of thing. It's all about the projection of self, okay? Now, Venus is feminine, so this means it is more connected to the biological aspects and nature of the divine feminine, which is not an active energy like Mars. It is a receptive energy. It's the planet of reciprocity, all right? So reciprocity is a mutually exclusive or a mutually beneficial relationship that you may have with someone else where you give them X and they give you Z, that type of thing. It could be you exchanging your energy and time. It's kind of me doing it now. I'm giving you free knowledge. So it's a mutually exclusive and beneficial spectrum that Venus brings into our lives. So people that are born in Libra will have that ability to want to create agreements, negotiation, working on a deal, working on something that brings balance. Libra is governed by Venus, as is Taurus. Taurus sometimes can be a little bit too pleasure-seeking and hedonistic. And of course, the darker aspect of Venus in Libra is someone that is too passive. They're not active enough. They live through other people. They watch other people. So there is a very strong aspect of voyeurism that is associated with the darker side of Libra in Venus, where it lives through other people rather than going out and enjoying and experiencing life, because it doesn't want to be hurt. It doesn't want to get rejected. So there is a side that can be too much pleasure seeking, removes yourself from responsibility. And responsibility is, of course, the purpose of life. We have to take on ownership of things. We can't sit in playtime all the time. So I hope all of this is kind of making sense. So it's appreciation of pleasure seeking, receiving love, love language, and all of that type of stuff. So it's Venus in your chart is what pulls relationships with you to other people inwards. So it's like, how you express that will determine what sign it sits in. So if you're very open and friendly and bubbly and warm, that's how you do it. Or maybe you're a bit more like a Venus in Scorpio, which I have, which is a little bit more colder, a little bit more like takes its time to come around to things. When I think of Venus, I think of Poison Ivy. I think she would be the embodiment of a Venus character, or a Venus in like maybe in the Scorpio. This is like a giant Venus flytrap that attracts things to it. Venus doesn't chase things, okay? So it deals in sexuality and sensuality, but not so much like sex in itself, like aggressive sex, which would be more like Mars. Okay, so it's an aesthetic. It's having physical beauty that makes someone feel safe and makes someone really enjoy looking at someone else. It's very, very visual. And of course, that would mean like Venus rules smells, it rules senses. People that smell good, it perfumes, that's all like attraction. Venus rules flowers and like floral arrangements and bedding and material and things like nice wallpaper and, you know, having nice cutlery on a table, like a white dinner plate, like a white dinner cloth, a tablecloth, that type of thing. I love it all because it's like, it feels like home. It's the hearth. And think of like a pot of soup on the stove. It's abundance. It's not stressed out. It's not cold and worrying about money. It's like, yes, we have what we need in the fridge. We have money. We have gold. It's rich. I hope I'm explaining this to you. So it's got a relaxed aspect to itself that attracts. It doesn't kind of go after things relentlessly. Venus also is connected to the hormones of the body as well. So our hormone levels, and it's also connected to something called Venusian energy as well. So that's all connected to that moisture and warmth thing that I was talking about. So it's interesting to see where someone's Venus is placed. I always like to go in there and have a look and see where it is. You know, like I mentioned, it will play out in different aspects with different degrees and different houses within astrology. It will play out in different ways. You know, some people connect on different levels. If you're a Venus in Sagittarius, you need a friend relationship that will travel with you and expand and go out and see the world. If you have a Venus in Scorpio, you could be very prone to possessiveness and jealousy, very deep, heavy ownership of your partner, sometimes even closing yourself off a little bit and not letting someone know how obsessed you are with them, secretly idolizing fantasies could also be connected to Venus in Pisces, where it's like having something that, wanting something that you can't really have and falling in love with someone that might not actually be who they say they are. So it's a lot of that, light and dark plays out in every sign with this planet, but it could be like falling in love or idolizing someone that proclaims to be something that they're not. So sometimes falling in love with someone that isn't really in love with you, they just love the way that you love them, that type of thing. I look at all this in a chart anyway when I look at your chart. But yeah, it's interesting how all of this, plays out, and the principles of energies and how they all are formed within our life. But yeah, it's a harmonic thing, and I'd love to see where your Venus is placed within your chart. Is it in Virgo? Are you about orientating things? Do you have a pragmatic approach to love? Is it that you're very picky when it comes to partners, like Venus in Virgo would be? Are you more, or are you an Aries Venus, which needs like lots of experiences and action and lots of contact and primal energy? It's really cool. So I really love it. But when I think of Venus, I think obviously like the birth of Venus, like oysters in a shell, thinking of nature and the sea. Femininity is a very receptive thing. So it's something that attracts people to you or to itself. And that's like that Venus flytrap where it just sits there and the prey is attracted to it. Of course, that's connected to the dark feminine, which I have talked about in a previous video. There is a very dark side to Venus that can be harnessed to allure and kind of trap people, like a siren, that the idea of a mermaid that and then pulls people down into the water. So the dark feminine is not the same as a woman that is scorned and hates men. It's not the same. So that's a different aspect to the feminine. And there are different aspects within the feminine, and there's different aspects within the masculine as well. So yeah, think about when you bite into something and you really taste what it feels like to eat something and feel it from the earth, like Taurus energy. So when you bite into an oyster and you can taste the sea inside that shell, inside the rock, I guess, the seashell. So yeah, beauty, rainbows, fashion, cosmetics also come under the thing of Venus as well. Personal beauty, artistic beauty, like in terms of making something with your hands, building something, painting something, it's all symbolizing projection, I guess. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed me talking about this planet. It's my favorite one. I love talking about this. I really love this planet. My dream in my life will be at some point I will have, a house that is very much like, think of like season 2 of True Blood, the character Marianne, where the house is kind of a balance between overgrowing flowers inside the house with bowls full of fruit, swimming pool with like a jungle around it, lots of deep greens and blues, and just an abundance of beauty. I love beauty. I am a sucker for beauty. People that have Venus in Libra or Venus in Taurus have a very deep appreciation for the aesthetics of another human. So they will be very attracted to like a pretty girl or a pretty boy, like square jaw, nice eyes, nice straight white teeth, the projection of perfection, or having that level of energy. So if you've got a Venus that's in those planets or under that sign, what you're attracted to will be influenced by that as well. If it was a Venus in Aquarius, then it would be someone that is interested in the mind, someone that would go for someone that would be a little bit aloof or a little bit different. Like a lot of Venus and Aquarius would go for people that have very odd shaped faces or have cross-eyed eyes, something very obscure about them, painfully thin, painfully pale. So everything that we do is connected to planetary correlations through the expression of God. And God is, of course, the aspect of astrology which I study. And some would say that this is actually, pure evil. Humans aren't allowed to, learn this type of knowledge. And in some parts of the world, and in not even only 200 years ago, 100 years ago, me doing a video like this would be banned because I'm sharing cheat sheets about life, about on this level. And it's not coming from a scientific level. As we know, science is only the study of something, and studying something a human can only do via, things that they've created. So we're looking at like things that predate that go way back. So when we look at pagans, we look at like earth worship, and that's where a lot of all this kind of comes from. So I hope that you have enjoyed this chat and me explaining all of these, beautiful things about this planet. It would be interesting to see where it sits in your chart. I'd love to look at your chart and see where it sits and explain it in even more if you'd like me to. Just go ahead and book me for your natal chart report if you want to. Even the 25-minute one, even though it is a shorter reading, I still jam pack as much as I can in the reading as well. I like to over deliver, so you really get a lot to chew on when you get that recording. So I will see you in the next upload. I think I might be looking at Uranus next. I'm not sure. Let me know what planet you want me to look at. Do you want me to look at Jupiter or the moon or whatever you'd like me to do? Let me know in the comments, and please share this video with someone that would appreciate this if they are new to astrology and you've just walked fresh through the door. Then scroll through my videos, my catalog of all of these videos I've uploaded, and you can find a lot of really good information there. So yeah, lots and lots of love, and I will see you in the next upload. Bye, bye, bye.